In the last episode, we finally got decent product photos. Even if it took hauling a giant full mat through an airport and hours of amateur Photoshop, that was a win. But with our mats officially on the way, a new problem popped up. Where in the world are we going to store them? Now keep in mind, these mats are not small. Each one is 6 feet wide and 12 feet long and 1.5 inches thick. One mat rolled up takes up a good amount of space. If you multiply that by dozens of them, all of a sudden, you have a mountain of foam. We knew we were going to fill up a lot more space than we had, and that's when the panic started settling in. We didn't have a warehouse, we don't even have a garage with extra space. And renting a storage unit, way too expensive. At this stage, we were operating on fumes. Every dollar counted. So we started brainstorming. Where are we going to store all of these mats? That's when we thought of the simplest solution: family. My parents had a shed. It was usually filled with farm equipment, tools, and all the other stuff that tends to pile up in a shed. But it had some room, so we asked if we could store our first shipment there. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. The mats were out of the weather, and it didn't cost us anything extra. The only catch? My dad made it very clear that this was temporary. He wanted his shed space back, and honestly, I couldn't blame him. The mats took up a lot of room. So the shed worked for a while, but we needed something more long-term. And that's when we stumbled into what I think was one of our best early scrappy business moves: a used van trailer. So we found an old semi-van trailer. Nothing fancy, and it had been sitting for a while. And it definitely needed a deep clean. But it was cheap, and it was big. It was basically a giant box on wheels, and that's all we needed. So we brought it back and spent a couple of days cleaning it out. Dust, dirt, and who knows what else. By the end, we had a dry, secure place to store our mats. And honestly, it felt like we had just upgraded to a real warehouse, even if it was on wheels. This van trailer became our first distribution center. We would put mats in and pull them out when we needed. Looking back, it feels like such a turning point. We didn't let the lack of storage stop us. We got creative, worked with what we had, and kept pushing forward. It's a reminder sometimes the best solution isn't flashy, it's just practical.
Storage is one of those hidden challenges that not everyone talks about when starting a product business, so plan for it early. Don't be afraid to get scrappy. A family shed, a used van trailer, whatever it takes to just make it work. Expensive solutions aren't always better. Our $1,000 used van trailer worked just as well as a fancy warehouse for what we needed. With our patent pending, a website with decent photos on it, and now storage figured out, we are getting even closer to our launch day. But even though we are moving forward, our launch day didn't quite go as expected. And that's what we'll talk about in our next episode, episode 10, the launch day blues. When for us, go live meant 0 sales.